Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are joined by a great guest. We're joined by Ani Narayan, the co-founder and chief growth officer at Lyzr AI. Ani, welcome to the show.
Hey, Oliver, thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. Would you mind just kicking us off, telling us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do over at Lyzr?
Yeah, I could kind of keep this short. If we had a long enough time, I might do the longer version. But um, I primarily have a growth background. I was in the US for 5 years, and I did quite a bit of work with Shutterstock and Lean Startup Machine in the US. And but I've been quite entrepreneurial. I would say I've been on my own since 2016.
Hmm.
So I've done three ventures primarily. One is called Master Life, which is like masterclass for life skills in India. Second is I ran a performance marketing agency. So that was like my long stint. And with AI, I had an AI tool marketplace. And then over a period of time, I realized I was teaching AI for founders. This was, I think, between 2021 to 2023. And I realized that if I want to create like high impact, I need to definitely partner with someone who is technical and have high leverage. And that's when I reached out to Shiva, who started Lyzr. And Shiva and I actually were together at our first job after undergrad at Tesco. And
Okay.
we were both kind of engineers there, but that's where I met him and he did some work with us at Master Life as well. But uh, over the last I've been on Lyzr the last 2 years. The company is like 2.5 years old. We are, I think, a way to think about us is we are a full stack agent infrastructure platform. So we help companies build agents, deploy agents into production. And for the non technical audience, maybe the way to think about it is automation of workflows using AI.
Mhm.
And we're agnostic of which function or which industry that we do. But our big focus today is BFSI, procurement, and customer support.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And were you on the founding team from day one then?
I actually joined. So the company was built, started in August 2023. I joined them in December
Okay.
2023. And so, so with three co-founders, technically, when I joined the team, there were 9 people. So it was
Hmm.
Shiva and engineers. I was the first go-to-market hire, if you want to call it. And then Jimmy, his original name was Jitin, we call him Jimmy. He joined us literally a couple of months later.
Okay,
So we all
nice.
joined kind of at different stages, but yeah, a lot of momentum has maybe picked up literally over the last, I would say, 8 months in
Hmm.
2020.
Yeah, and I've seen it. And Ani, as you stepped into the role, as you stepped into the company, what sort of responsibilities did you pick up and what sort of initiatives did you roll out?
Picked up, it's funny. I feel like 2024 was literally a lot around execution. Like I would get my hands dirty and actually build out prototypes, um, literally write content, even like do demos, create courses. There was a lot of push around that. But over the last, I would say, 18 months, uh, the go-to-market team has actually expanded quite a bit. So today there's product marketing, there's performance marketing or conversion optimization, there's brand and website, which kind of rolls up into one. There is community and user growth. So we have a platform. So the whole focus is trying to get folks to adopt the platform. We have partner marketing. So a big chunk of our scale will also come through partners like AWS and NVIDIA, and also like big global system integrators like Wipro, TCS, Infosys. So we have like, let's say, Persistent and First Source of the world. So that's essentially partner marketing and setting the process for essentially a lot of marketing to sales so that a lot of the stuff that happens on the sales side is smooth and can be activated to land and expand. Um, but yeah, because we have a big team in Bangalore and maybe a team in the US as well. A lot of the ops, a lot of the hiring, a lot of the culture stuff also kicks in. So yeah. Uh,
Hmm.
that's predominantly the team. We also have an experiments team. So the go to market team by itself, or rather, the marketing team itself is 25 people as of today, and then the sales team is another maybe 12 people.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And you touched on it there, and it's something I like to dive into is in my background, I come from the tech space. There's always a gap between the marketing teams and the sales teams. That's why we build out like holistic systems, and it sounds like you do the same thing from prospecting to closing. You guys measure the full process. How do you go about navigating that with such, I guess, large teams across a large organization?
I mean, we could always do a better job,
Hmm.
but I think to your point, Oliver, I think it's a combination of some automation, some tools. But if you look at the entire process, it is, excuse me, the focus is to create as much inbound. Uh, so we try to do as much. We get a big chunk of our inbound still through organic traffic, like SEO. Um, a lot of it through LinkedIn and direct traffic through assisted attribution on LinkedIn, and then ads, which is predominantly Google Ads. And then there is marketplaces, LLM traffic. So there's a lot of stuff that happens on top of the funnel, which is book demos. And then we try to do playbooks. We try to do marketing through partners. So there's a lot of like leads that also come in. But
Hmm.
once the leads come in, there's a lot of the automation that we try to do through HubSpot itself. So all the leads sit within HubSpot. They also get pushed onto Slack, so you get notified any lead that comes in. There's a drip that also kicks in HubSpot, but we have a cal.com integration with HubSpot. So you're able to book directly with the AEs, the
Hmm.
booker demos, and the push obviously with the MQLs or the leads is to activate and get people to book a demos. So I think from that place it's maybe a little automated, and there's a round robin that kicks in with the sales team. Um, but I would say largely the team is split across different functions, but there is a big chunk that's leading to there's a lot of the lead generation stuff that happens maybe by two or three parts of the marketing team. Yeah, and then there's a further, if you want, I mean, if you want, I can go further into it, which is there's a split by the US and rest of the world, and there's also split on AEs based on size of the company
Hmm.
that comes in, and there's an enrichment of clay that also happens, and then there are SDRs that qualify the lead, reach out, have a conversation if needed, and then pass it on to the AEs.
Hmm.
So
I like
that's
that. And
yeah, that's
on
what
that point with the SDR, something we've seen, especially with how much noise there is in the market. One of the biggest KPIs we're measuring for ourselves, but also our clients' teams, is speed to lead, especially when it comes to the SDRs. If you can contact a lead within 5 minutes of them filling out a form, responding to an email, whatever it may be, if you can get them to pick up that phone or if you get them dialed, I think it's a 24% or 24 times more likely to book in a meeting. And if
how do you,
if it even reaches 10 minutes, it drops to only 4 times as likely. So
I'm just
speed to lead is a big metric we're measuring. Not sure if
hey,
you guys are doing the same, but if you aren't, I definitely recommend it. And same for anybody out there listening.
how would you? I mean, I'm curious because our speed to lead is they definitely book on Calendly or cal.com. I think for us it's cal.com, and then let's say they book something in that week.
Hmm.
But if the AE's calendar is full, it goes to like next week. So how do you kind of do the whole speed to? I mean, we would love it if it was less, let's say less than 2 hours, but how do you manage that?
Yeah, great question. I think how we look at it is so it depends how your team is split up. So you can, if availability is an issue, we just don't have people to make those dials. What we like to look at is potentially bringing in commission only appointment setters. So if they set the appointment, they get, depending on deal size, maybe 2.5 to 5% of the deal. And then we also treat that as a mini qualification call as well. So I know you had mentioned a framework on our previous call. Do you want to give a rundown of that? And then I can share our framework and then
The
I
f-
can tell you how it all ties together as well.
the framework I think we had spoken about was more on the growth, like the marketing side around 13714.
Yeah, yeah.
28,
So,
right?
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I can share ours. So ours is the 7-Eleven 4 framework. So the average buyer nowadays needs a minimum of 7 hours of engagement with your business to trust you enough to buy from you. Needs to be across 11 touch points and across 4 different channels. So
Nice.
the way we really eat into that is, let's say somebody fills out a lead form. We primarily operate with meta ads. Somebody fills out the lead form. Our appointment setter will dial them up within 5 minutes. It's kind of the KPI, if not within 5 minutes, as quickly as possible. They qualify them. They figure out what their objective is, why they kind of are interested, what their biggest challenge is. Then you can send them content, or that be video content, written content that they consume before the demo call. Because what that eats into, it eats into that 7 hours. We don't want to be
Mm.
spending that on the phone, especially if it's a high ticket sale. We don't want to be spending that on the demo because then all the education is done pre call. And
Okay.
then the prospect will show up to the demo already kind of understanding what to ask, what the value proposition is. And then the closer can actually focus on closing and not educating, which speeds up the sales process and just make things easier. If we can get the appointments that are just qualifying people and then nurturing them through the process, then it just kind of compounds into a bunch of different wins in small areas, which obviously add up over time.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know there were like seven. You said seven touch points or 11 touch points and seven interactions.
So it's 7 hours, 11 touch points, 4 channels. So that could
Which-
be a
Okay.
phone call, an email, an SMS, and then the demo face to face.
Okay.
That's kind of how we look at it.
Nice. Interesting. When we were talking about when I think you and I were talking about the 13714 or even the 28 marketing push, like for us, what we try to do is based on like what we really want to push, that much time is given, and we
Mhm,
activate that across multiple channels. So like if we have, let's say it's a series announcement, like we want to do that for, let's say, 14 days or
mhm,
even 28 days, right? Whereas if it's a product update, that might be like a 1 day push.
mhm.
Whereas 3 day push could be like a Lyzr GPT that we launch. But yeah, I think I do want to, I mean, if you have some written material, yeah, share that on the podcast. And I think I'll get my team to also have a look at it.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think, and even stuff like this, like a podcast, because ultimately, with, like I said, so much noise in the space, the biggest challenge most companies, especially in yours being in the AI space, there's just a lot of trust. People don't know what they need. They don't know why they need it, but they know they need it and they don't know who to get it from. So if you can put a face to the brand, essentially, a bunch of
Yeah.
content like this, maybe not this one specifically because it's not necessarily super actionable for people looking for Lyzr, but
Yeah.
if you can put a face to the name that educates them about what your value proposition is, whether that be podcasts, old webinars, case studies, testimonials, stuff like that, and you nail them with all of that before they show up to the demo call,
Yeah.
then they're in a really good spot because then they're educated, they're nurtured, they're essentially ready to buy. They just need to check off a few logistical questions and get the price.
Yeah. One thing about the podcast, Oliver, I've seen is if you have a screen share, it tremendously improves engagement. And I feel like unless you're traveling, like people aren't watching the whole podcast anymore, right? So it's
Mhm.
even just repurposing that on like your 4 channels. I think that
Yeah,
also might be helpful. Yeah.
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 That's kind of what we like to do is we clip this up, we share it on LinkedIn. It can be turned into kind of any sort of thought leadership content. And obviously your teams can do the same, so it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Cool.
I think that's a speaking of like this, like podcasting, obviously in 2025 and 2024 has been a big trend in the marketing space. Is there anything you're seeing your guys are trying to capitalize on?
Good question. So one is, I think, power of numbers on LinkedIn itself. Like if you have a decent team, like can you get everybody to post on LinkedIn consistently?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
everybody picks a theme, like it's like maybe the engineering folks, right, which is more technical. Let's say the sales team writes more on use cases, maybe founder will write maybe more on vision, maybe your customer wins. I'll write more around, let's say, launches. So I think everybody, if they pick little niches and then everybody coming together for a big launch to push, I'm seeing that do really well. And Oliver, I think the other one is we have almost, I think, like a $500 budget just to amplify founder-led brand.
Hmm.
So anything that goes live, if it's on Shiva's posts or my post, if it starts doing well, then we'll amplify it to a specific audience. That's working well. I mean, a lot of the traditional stuff is taking a hit. I think one very random, but we're trying two channels on Instagram and hopefully now on TikTok which are run by AI avatars and they're built on HeyGen. And one just pushes a lot on HR content. One pushes just around, like, let's say, marketing content, which
Hmm.
is, when I say marketing, like we have agents, we have pre-built agents for marketing, we have pre-built agents for HR, and just female-led avatars do so much better than like male-led avatars.
Hmm.
So I think that kind of works for us. We create a lot of playbooks. Playbooks are still relevant. Books are still relevant. I saw a post that day on LinkedIn where this person has just created actually literally like a physical book on like learning about AI agents, and he said he had shipped over 1,000 copies. Uh, right, and it was like a lot of comments. So I don't know if it makes sense to start doing a lot more like offline stuff. Definitely micro events over larger events. Big
Hmm.
hit. And then there's
When you
Thunderclap.
say micro events, what sort of concepts?
See, for us at least, if we can get 15 people in a room, so it's like, hey, let's go out, like you sponsor 15 CIOs for a dinner.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe you spend $10,000 there versus spending $10,000 towards, let's say, an event and you get a booth,
Hmm.
right? Um, so that works well. Then I think even RB2B came out and like they rented a villa and they did like a bunch of like fun stuff at the villa, and then we had like 80 people. So I think that also works well. Um, yeah, but as I was saying, like I think playbooks, SEO, founder-led brand. Um, we've tried a lot of micro influencers as well, Oliver.
Hmm.
And I think a good way to influence is expensive. Just at the core of it, they're expensive. Um, but you could go after a lot of these micro influencers and see their views to follower ratio. And if it's actually pretty good, maybe you go after those.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, not spreading yourself across multiple channels. Maybe it's like just pick 1, 2 channels and then dominate them. Maybe. Um, but what are you seeing? What are you seeing in the market that's working?
Yeah, I think kind of what we touched on. I think a lot of video content. I think that's what people consume now. Obviously, LinkedIn is a little bit different because a lot of people scroll that at work, so they like the written content, so they don't have to play the audio out loud. But
Yeah.
written content easy to scan on LinkedIn. Video content, once again, just big on trust, especially if you're doing stuff like founder-led sales, where if you amplify with a $500 budget, if something starts to do well, we found that performs really well. Or even you mentioned like the micro influencers. If you can position yourself as a micro influencer, if you start posting YouTube content about
Yep.
how to just a quick you screen sharing a Miro board, a slideshow, just going through how to build a AI agent in 10 minutes. Then you're like, if you're interested in using this, you should try Lyzr AI. And then they're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, so something broad, but then obviously you're the key value proposition at the end. If you want to do something like this, that's good. So you attract like the buzzwords, the good top of funnel, builds the trust, and then you offer yourself at the end is kind of the name of the game with that. So a few different channels. Obviously there's the foundation, the I'm still a believer in paid ads, outbound email, but I think in terms of unique strategies that people could try, I think those are the ones.
You said you're very bullish on outbound emails. I mean, there is a lot of like resistance in the market. So I don't know how you feel about this. What if, so like we have SDRs, they send out, let's say, 25, 30 emails a day, right? Maybe
Mhm.
more. Some are hyper personalized, some is maybe a little more at scale. And we end up creating a lot of emails on instantly, right? So I think they're like 50 emails running simultaneously, each sending 30 emails a day, right? So
Mhm.
there's a lot there. But I was thinking the new SDR could be you hire content creators on your team full time.
Hmm.
And their goal is to create niche content for LinkedIn. Like, can they put out like 25 videos a month, right? Every day. And so let's say an SDR's whatever is the cost is being split on the content creation, and then you're using it for ads to amplify their content. And then that becomes an inbound funnel for your
Hmm.
website, right? So what's your take on that? Have you seen anything like that? Have you seen people kind of evolve the SDR role in any way?
I have not seen a concept like that, but I like it a lot. I think it ties into a lot of like what I like to speak about, like the video content and stuff. I think that's really good. The way we get our outbound to work, it kind of ties in to content. And I'll pull the curtain back here a little bit, just like inviting people, even our conversation now, you could consider that an outbound message. We didn't know each other until I
Yeah,
DM'd you on LinkedIn saying, "Do you want to come on the podcast?" This could turn into a relationship long term. Who knows? Obviously, that's a bit difficult to do at scale with SDRs, but there's always ways you can invite prospects to speak on a research report, contribute to a blog post, things like that. Or if the SDRs are doing content, maybe a 5 minute version of this conversation, and then it gets shared to their channel, your channel. There's lots of ways to do it. I think the old way of outbound email, where you just, I call it pitch slapping, where you just kind of feature dump in the email. I think that's on its way out. But I think kind of true relationship building, non transactional emails, I think those are still as strong as they ever were.
agreed. And the other thing that we're seeing, Oliver, is initially when you start expanding your, let's say, LinkedIn content, right? You start becoming consistent. Obviously, you start having a following. Your first degree usually reaches out to you in some way, or some connection with the first degree reaches out to you for your first line of business. But then as you expand, that kind of starts leading to, hey, maybe you get like 2 requests or 1 request a week.
Hmm.
And like, hey, let's chat. So I think it also kind of ties into your founder led brand plus outbound, which kind of happens in parallel. So yeah, I mean, I think what you're doing maybe is working.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it sounds like what you guys are doing is working as well. So I love to hear that, even though we're taking slightly unique approaches to marketing, where we're still generating results, finding success. I love to see that.
Nice.
And Ani, as we begin to wrap up here, looking forward, obviously we're wrapping up 2025 as we head into 2026. What's the goals for Lyzr AI for the next year?
Oh, we were actually just talking about it. So I think if I had to pull the curtain down and just give it to you literally as is, um, one is we need a massive brand uplift for Lyzr, like because a lot of the deals that we focus on is very enterprise focused deals, like 250K deals, 500K deals. So like, how do we fight through the noise and become an aspirational brand that people want to resonate with, right? Because I feel like there's this upper echelon of AI companies, and then how do we kind of fit in that cluster, right? So I think
Mhm.
there's going to be brand elevation that might trickle down into like founder led brand elevation, like speaking at events, being associated with this kind of company. So that's one. Second is we're building a product called Architect, which is, in my mind, truly democratizing agent building. And think of it as an enterprise. They're like, hey, what use case should I go after? They want to think about. Architect's a great way to test and show you, hey, these are the agents you could put together. So for us, it would be really pushing the product out and building a massive developer community around it. And third is revenue goals. We've raised Series A. I think we need to hit some goals with Series B,
Mhm.
and we're in that wheel now of moving quickly. Um, so we have some goals to hit by end of quarter 1, and if it looks good, then potentially a fundraise will happen.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. And Ani, I've got one last question for you as we wrap up. Speaking specifically to founders, CEOs, CGOs, or anybody on the go to market side, if there was one lesson you wish you learned a little earlier in your go to market career about growing a business, adding clients, adding users, what would that kind of one lesson be?
Great question. And I think, Oliver, I learned a lot of that maybe at Lyzr, uh, and pretty late in my life, which is actually because there's so much noise, we need to really spend time on positioning. We end up being like, hey, we do like today, let's say there are 10,000 marketing agencies, right? Everyone says we do performance or we do SEO, we do AI led, but within that, is there a niche that we truly focus on? Do we specifically do e-commerce? Do we specifically focus on certain outcomes? So I think, and ChatGPT, I feel like is a great way to like go back and forth,
Hmm.
put all your competitors, ask for the white space, ask information about how people are talking about your brand, and then visualize a lot of that. And I think once you're pretty confident about, oh my God, this is my positioning, then you like really hammer the positioning. Um, and that's one. And I think the second one there, which I'm also learning a lot lately, Oliver, is I think we have to be less feature focused.
Hmm.
Like we're still maybe very feature focused, you know, and we have to be more emotion and outcome focused. So I think if we do that, I think you will pretty quickly start cutting away from the market. And it's maybe harder to build a new category. It may be easier to formalize and build a brand in an existing category. So, like if agent building as a space is going up and people are trying to take agents into production, it's easier maybe to say, you don't want to be in the agent builder bucket. You want to be in the outcomes bucket. You want to be in the emotion bucket.
Hmm.
So I'd say those are maybe two, three things. Because I feel like sometimes I've spent a lot of time in my life early on just being in the noise. And then as a result, not cutting through the noise because of good positioning. So yeah.
Hmm. No, that makes perfect sense. And I like that last point of kind of selling the outcome. Look at airlines, for example. They don't sell you the plane ticket; they sell you the vacation you're about to go on. And so
Yeah,
it's very outcome focused. And I think that's the way being in the AI space, being in the tech space, you've got to approach it as well.
100%. 100%. Cool.
Fantastic. Well, Ani, that is all the questions I've got for you today. I'll be sure to tag your LinkedIn and Lyzr AI's website down in the description. But is there anywhere else you'd like people to connect with you on, or are those the main two?
LinkedIn's good. I mean, you and I connected on LinkedIn. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's a good place to definitely, I'm quite active there. Um, emails, yeah, Ani at Lyzr.ai if anyone wanted to reach out. But yeah, LinkedIn predominantly would be good.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll be sure to get that down in the description for everybody listening and out there for everybody listening as well. If you've tuned in, you've listened this far, we appreciate you. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. And Ani, one last thank you for your time.
And thank you for having me, dude.
It's been fun. It's been a pleasure.